very much for the invitation and this opportunity to share my views on this field. Alright, so today's talk will be on reproducible research in biometrics, moving to the beat. So in case you are not sure, this is not about music you are going to hear. This is about biometrics. So I'm going to start by asking you a couple of questions, right? Because you're all researchers there, so you all do the same job on a daily basis, basically. So how many times you've crossed a publication? So you went through a publication, so maybe after the 7th, there is a number of papers that you are interested, and you are going to take them back home, look at them in details, and in the end you are going to ignore them because it looks too hard to apply to your own research. But that's a question, so I'm expecting people to raise hands. Right? Maybe a few. All right. Very brave. Also a question. You will have to work day and night to incorporate some results in your own work, and you will see that there are untold parameters and adjustments, and you just don't know what to do with it. You realize that the algorithm in the paper in the end just work on a specific data set in the paper, and you will realize also that in the end there is something that doesn't work, and you cannot just manage. Another question is, how many times you have to take over the work from a student, so that's more for senior people there. So you have to take the work from a student or from another colleague that left, and you have to go and basically to start again from scratch and to go into months of programming to make things work again. More people there. That's interesting, but not surprising. Another interesting case, another question for you. You would have liked to replay your homework to someone else. Okay, so it's your homework that you did, you did the programming, the experiment, and so on, and just you want to replay to someone else, and a couple of years after that, or maybe a few months, you basically don't remember all the details on how you made it work in the first place. Even more people. The thing is that our current system is based on scientific publications. So we have papers. So this is a very old system that which is a legacy from centuries of science. Okay, and this is our current mechanism for sharing ideas, knowledge, findings, and results. And that's really great. But the thing is that, for instance, about results, when you have a paper like this, you all, and especially in biometrics, you find nice ideas, maths, plots, tables, and in the end, what you do is look at the plots and you try to see if you are better than others, right? You are trying always to beat the prior work or possibly the state of the art, if you can have access to it. So one of the key essential questions you're trying to answer sometimes is to compare to prior work. So you need to search for prior work in order to compare your own work to prior work. Because it's very likely that your paper will not be accepted otherwise. Right? So in some cases, when we want to compare to prior work, it might be very trivial because the technique is very well explained or accessible, so you can re-implement it and retest it. It can be also very easy because the author of the paper provides the pseudocode into the paper. That's the best case. In some other situations, it may not that be easy. For instance, to replicate some work, you will just need, in this case, 4 million of face images to train the 120 million parameters which are in the technique described in the paper. And this might not be accessible to all of them. So, who has access to 4 million training faces here? Well, you're not. So one person in the room has access to 4 million training faces. So he is the guy to ask. In other cases, you have a paper which is full of maths and it's beyond your comprehension. And it's not easy at all, and you just need the guy that wrote the paper. Okay. So here it's pretty clear. So, right. What is important to understand is that nowadays publications is not, well, everything really. If it's just taking this quotation from Dono, basically what you have to understand is that really the scholarship is not the publication itself, but it's everything that leads to the publication. Basically it's all the software, the data, the complete set of instructions which generated the figures and the numbers with the plots which are in the paper. This is very important because also these days we are talking more and more about cases of scientific misconduct. I don't know if you have heard about this case where MIT researchers have shown that they could trick basically some conference and journals by submitting and having accepted papers which are automatically generated with a tool you can find on the internet. And following that, there is actually this funny website here, so you can go and have fun, which is called Archive versus Archive, and where you have to guess what is a real paper from a fake paper, just looking at the title. So of course it's not in Biometrics, it's particle physics. So here I just took some examples and I'm going to ask you, just from the title of the paper, which one is the real, basically which is really indexed on archive, and which is the other one which is fake, which has been generated by this generator. So any guess? The first one is entitled, the first paper is Exploring S-Duality in Models of Space-Time Flow. And the next one is Superwind Cosmology and Collider Physics. So would you guess which paper is fake and which paper is real? So what is a fake paper? Can you guess? Is it the first one or second one? The fake paper is second one, first one, I have two for 2, 3 for 2. More guess? Why you? I can't do it. Come on, please. 2? Okay. This is the first one which is fake. So actually, I tried to play that game for a couple of papers and I lost. Don't try it. But maybe it will have been in Biometrics and something like that. Anyway, so scientific misconduct is something important, and in the current system it's very difficult to detect basically frauds. If obviously or fortunately they are pretty rare. Also currently in papers, it turns out that everything that leads to the figures and the plots in papers, so basically data sets, codes, so encodes and all software that allows to generate the figures and the plots are excluded from the recording and preservation of articles. It means that if you take a paper, the system, the publication system for those papers has no way to keep track of software that is attached to the paper. Everyone has to do it by his own at various levels. So it has the problem to slow down the scientific development in at least two major aspects. First, if you want to reuse ideas from others, generally implies you have to redevelop the software. So you reinvent the wheel, basically. Okay, so the first problem. So you are losing time just to try to redo things. And second point is that the review process of basically papers and ideas is more based on trust rather than hard and verifiable evidence that can be analyzed thoroughly. So basically, when you work as a reviewer, you can just have access to the paper, you don't know who are the authors, and it's on your own belief that it makes sense, the maths are correct, the result seems to be correct as well, but you have no way to check. You're not able to rerun things to verify that the number was correct and there is not a problem for them. So there is something missing there. There is a lot of efforts which has been done and which is still undergoing in this area to share data, software and computations. Data, now we have started for a lot of databases, for issue face recognition, all the NIST databases, with face, iris, speaker. We have bimodal databases, face and speaker, audiovisual databases, in Europe, for instance. Now we start to have more and more, or not enough, anti-spoofing databases. I was pleased to see yesterday that new databases are coming in this area. We have also a lot of open source software. So libraries that have been used by others and which are shared, which is very nice. For instance, famous OpenCV, but not much before OpenCV, there are other libraries, Idiap in the UK, for instance. You have the Colorado State University face identification toolkit, which was released several years ago. OpenVR recently, other machine learning libraries like Theano, Torch, and Go. There have been also a lot of competitions, generally organized in conjunction with conferences like this one, and also the famous evaluations organized by NIST or by other institutes and other labs. Finally, now starts to appear more and more platforms. Platforms to distribute data, platforms to share results, platforms to organize competitions. And I'm going to list some of them. So exist some example of platforms. So one of these platforms that exist is the BIT platform in China for Biometrics EDR test, which is basically a platform where you can log in and mostly download databases. So there is a lot of databases which are there, which are mainly from the Chinese Academy of Science. You can access and download once you are registered. They also, from time to time, organize competitions by allowing you to upload executables that they will run on their computers. And I believe that one of the competitions for this conference was organized with this. You have also this platform, which was quite famous in fingerprint recognition, which is a FVC ongoing online evaluation of fingerprint recognition organized in Italy, which is mostly about the evaluation of fingerprint recognition. Also, they released recently a small challenge for ISO face compliance. And also, it follows the same principle that here you don't have access to the data, but you upload binaries, executables for competitions, and you can submit anytime. That's what it's called ongoing. More recently, the NIST has proposed a platform called the iVector Machine Learning Challenge. It's an online ongoing challenge where basically they are releasing, so you can participate by signing in and downloading, and then you have access to that data. But the data, you don't have access to the raw data. You have access to some specific feature vectors called iVectors, which are distributed. So you download those feature vectors for audio samples in this particular case, and at the end you process it on your own computers and you send back the results as score files in that format. Another platform which may be more famous, Keynote. We have heard about Keynote. Okay. So Keynote is also a platform which starts to be quite trendy. So it's a free platform. You can sign in and create a proposal competition. So if you want to organize a competition, it's a platform that helps you to basically to put everything together and allows people to download the data. Download the data, and you upload again the score files that will be benchmarked or basically ranked on the system. Okay. The thing is that this is a company. This is a company, and as all companies, they have to make money. So the question is, how do they make money? So that I don't have the answer yet. I'm still trying to understand how they can make money out of it. So the thing is that generally for those competitions there is an award. So basically the proposal of the competition, the prize as well, maybe has sponsorship, and then the winner of the competition will win the prize. So I guess maybe they can one last platform is the CodaLab platform. This platform which has been developed in the US, mostly by researchers from Stanford, and also with support from Microsoft, and now which is sponsored by the Microsoft Autocurve Foundation. So it provides a way to, you have to basically provide databases to this Codala platform, and then you can program and execute research pipelines, feature extraction and result matching, as worksheets on the platform, and then you can organize competitions. The thing is that I tried to figure out how it was working, and in particular, where was the data. So I don't know where the code is executed, I don't know where is the data stored, and therefore there are a lot of questions with respect to data protection regulations, in particular when you have to deal with biometrics data, and about intellectual property as well, or your code, what you put there. It's something very important. Right. Finally, I'd like to mention something also very recent, which is the Elsevier Software X platform. So I was saying a couple of minutes ago that there was something missing with the publication, that there was no way, together with the publication, to store, to provide and archive the code associated with the paper. Actually, it's not completely true now, so it's very new. So I launched a couple of months ago. So Elsevier, so to my knowledge, is the only publisher that have put in place a platform where you can submit an article and at the same time submit the software that will be archived. So actually they created an account on Idiap. So for those of you which are familiar with Git and version control, it's a web platform where you can put your open source software. So they have created an account and all the software associated with publication is there. Right. So Elsevier is taking it actually quite seriously, and to my knowledge, so maybe I'm wrong, and I will be happy to know if other publishers are doing the same thing, but they are the only publisher I know that try to answer this kind of, address this kind of issues. So in 2011, they launched, they introduced the concept of executable paper, and they launched the executable paper grand challenge. So basically it was the aim of, it was a contest, and the aim of this contest was basically, I was reading the quotation, to improve the way scientific information is communicated and used. So the purpose of the challenge is to invite scientists to put forth their ideas pertaining to these pressing and unsolved questions, which are those questions here, and more importantly, the one which is boldly here, how do we validate data, code, and increase the workload of the reviewers? It would be great as reviewers to have a tool that makes us easy so that we can trust the results which are there. So if you want to have more information, you can go to this website here, executablepapers.com. Right, so welcome to Reproducible Research. So that's the title. So you still wonder what is reproducible research, because I talk about code, data, and so on. But reproducible research has been formally defined in a paper within a minute, and there is a website for it called reproducibleresearch.net. So what is reproducible research? It's a term that aggregates four things: paper, of course, the code to reproduce all the results in the paper, the data to reproduce also those results, and the instructions. So it's not only enough to have to say, I'm using this database and take it there, I'm using this software, take it there, but it's how you use the software on the data, all the instructions, all the teeny things, details, all the tuning that you have done to make sure you can replicate exactly the results in the paper. So those four things. I was saying it was introduced in the paper, so we have this paper which is very recommend to read. So Reproducible Research and Signal Processing by Martin and others and co-workers. And in this paper they classified, they introduced levels of reproducibility for papers, which goes from 0 to 5. So 0 is a paper which is not reproducible. 1 is that cannot seem to reproduce, so no one are sure. 2, it's reproducible very likely, but with extreme efforts, several months of programming maybe. 3, it's reproducible with considerable effort. Okay. 4, it's easily reproducible, maybe 15 minutes using some software I can find. So, and I have all the instructions, in 15 minutes I can do it. And provided that I don't have 4 million of faces. And to 5, easily reproducible in maybe 15 minutes using only free software. Yes, because MATLAB is not free. What we have to understand is that there is an interaction, and you are all doing this interaction between the writer of the paper and the reader. And this reader can be just a reviewer during the review process, but it can be you after this conference who are going to take the papers. The writer is developing software, applying it using protocols and data to generate figures and tables, and in the end it composes a paper that will submit for publication because it's accepted. On the other hand, you have the reader, which is a reviewer or you, who takes the paper, looks at it, sees that it's nice, looks at the figures and the tables, and try to move it backward to reproduce. And he may stop after the second circle. The problem is that all that to write and distribute code and data takes time. It's a very complex thing if you want to do it very well. Because you have so much things you need to take care of. You have data to take care of. You have protocols on how to use the data. You need to have documentation for the data. Therefore, when you have protocols and documentations, you need to have version control because you make changes, you need to track changes. You have software in the middle, and same again, software is updated, so you need to track changes, and you need to version control your software. Your software might be dependent on the hardware, right? Your specific library isn't working nice on your computer, but when you try to install it on a different version or Linux or whatever, it's not going to work the same way, or you need to have another version. Right? So there are all those things to care about, which is difficult for all of us. Okay? Because we don't want to waste time with this. However, I say that you have to take care of it. You should make the effort. And why? Because there is an incentive to do it. So the incentive is not money, but it's how to boost your research impact. Okay? So basically, having a paper which is reproducible will just lower the entrance barrier of the publication. So people will stop on your paper and they know that they can reproduce it. So therefore they will stop on this one and not on the one that doesn't seem to be reproducible. Also, the number of reproducible research papers is very small. Okay, so you have a chance to stand out. So, as for instance, you can look, if you look at the stats, so at least in 2012, 10% of the papers in transactions of image processing provided source code. Your work is more valuable if it is reproducible research. For instance, 13 out of the 50 most cited papers in PAMI or TIP provide at least source code. So that's a good sign. And the average number of citations, which is more important, the average number of citations of papers that provide source code in TIP is 7-fold that of papers that don't. So basically, you will be cited more because your paper is reproducible. And this is a very good incentive. Anyway, what can be improved? Because downloading historic data is still a problem. Because first, you need to work out space to store databases. If you want to download a new database you found somewhere, you need to contact the person, maybe set an FTP server for those that still use FTP, maybe put in a Dropbox to download the database. He knows, or send a hard drive because it's too big. But in the end, you need to install it on your own computer, so you need to basically to have gigabytes of storage for this data. But there is another concern, which is true in biometrics, the privacy one. So most of all the countries in Europe and more countries worldwide, of course, are taking very seriously all the data protection aspects. Because biometric data means data of people, faces of people, your voice, veins, other identifiers, and basically the countries don't know really what will be the risk with this data. So they are very prudent, and they are putting in place legal frameworks that start to be very, very heavy, which are going to be complicated. So, for instance, there are databases always as well that cannot be distributed. In forensics, people working in forensics labs, they have access to databases coming from sign prints, for instance, and they would love to have researchers in biometrics to test on those databases. But they can't be able to do it. So either you have to go there for a couple of weeks or months to work on this data, or not to do anything. There is no other option. Second thing that can be improved is that all software management, as I have shown, it's complicated. Software, very software stuff. Right? I mean, you need to program, you need to find bugs. So it takes a lot of time from your work, while you would like to concentrate on the scientific aspects. Right? Try new ideas and really quickly get some results, and to compare very easily with some prior work. Also, something else which is linked to the database issue is that you may have limited computing power. Depending on where you are working, in your institution or university, maybe you are not lucky enough to have a big computing farm, right? Like in Facebook or in Google or in those places, and you just have a few computers in your network, and that's it. Which basically makes it impossible to run large-scale experiments on large-scale databases. Ideally, what we like to do is to push reproducible research to the next level. And ideally, what we would like to do, or at least I'd like to do, is when I take a paper, right, and from the paper I can see there is a table with numbers, and there is a figure, I would like to, in one click, to be able to verify those numbers, right, and have a level of trust on that this is possible. So basically, I'm having this that I extract from paper, and then in one click, I can go to a place where I will be able to find again the results that I had in the paper. So this is what I just did here. For instance, here I have the attestation, an attestation for those results, and here I can find it's a third-party provided number. The numbers which are in the tables and the plots. Okay? So I should just go somewhere where I can verify those numbers. And by just doing that, I have an additional level of trust that this has been basically validated somehow. And I can check later if I can reproduce. Or I can just try to reproduce. Moving to the BEATS. So what is BEATS? BEATS is a web platform for reproducible research, which is trying to do what I just shown, basically to attest in the end public results, public application. The BEAT platform is accessible, so you don't need to install any extra software. So basically you just need a web browser. That's it, and an internet connection. It's intuitive, so basically you can graphically connect blocks to run experiments. You know, when you have your research pipeline, you go from data to feature extraction, or pre-processing, or the pre-processing normalization to comparison. All those steps can be seen as blocks, and you can program and connect all those blocks graphically. Okay. Ideally, you should be able to run experiments without having to write any lines of code. It will be great. It will be also social, so to have you engage more and more into the platform, we should provide more processing powers to people that use more and share more with the platform. Okay. Productive because you can search. There is a very powerful search tool to look for prior results you are interested in. The BEAT platform is also built on the data privacy, with strong data privacy principles. So basically, you cannot access to the biometric data, to the raw data. There is no way. So all the data is sequestered. you just have a view of the database that you can select. The other advantage is that you don't need to download databases. You don't have to get the data on your own computer to run it. The platform will do it for you. You just need to select the data that is available on the platform, and if it is not, you just can contact the people managing the platform to put the data you want. There is an assurance mechanism to allow a fair, reproducible evaluation of all algorithms, as well as online attestations for all produced results. And more importantly, it's free, built on open source software and standards. So I'm going to show you a couple of snapshots. The internet is a bit slow, so I will not be able to do a live demo. But I will be staying here today and tomorrow, so if you are interested, you can come to me and then I can show you more details what you can do with the platform. So, what is it? So basically, here is the front page. So when you go to the SAP platform, you have to sign in to create an account, so you have to sign up. Here you can see basically the system, the status of the system, the current number of users which are registered, databases. So a number of figures to show what is in the platform in terms of databases, experiments which has been executed, the number of CPU that was used, and so on. And basically there will be also this window here that will be updated, which is updated regularly when we post new things, like public experiments that have been pushed on a frequent basis. So when you are logged in, you, as a user, you have access to a dashboard. And from this dashboard, you can see the list of all the experiments you have executed on the platform. You can think about a flat directory with plenty of folders, okay, and each folder has a label corresponding to your experiment. Of course, you have to provide a label which is meaningful for you. And then you can see the list of all experiments on which database it was executed and so on, and you can pick any of those experiments. You can search also experiments from others, not only your own experiments, but experiments of others which are public. And you can rerun also those experiments and do much more things also on the platform. For instance, you can have a view, a list of all the databases you can execute on. So all the public databases. You can have also access to databases which are confidential, but to which you have been granted the access. So it can be interesting in some particular cases when you have a specific work with a company, let's say, or an institution which is just want to share the database only with some users. We have also implemented a feature called Teams. So this feature Teams basically allows you to create groups of users. So for instance, you're a teacher, right, and you want to organize a lab for your students. You can create a group. Every student's registered to the platform, and you can have them in your group, and with that you make available a set of algorithms or problem to solve, and you just have to implement and execute the experiments and to give you the results. We call this grouping, these team features can be used also to organize competitions. You can make a specific group to organize a competition for an event. But also you can have with some different privacy levels, so private groups for industrial projects. If you have companies which have an account, you can create an account just for people from the company and people from few researchers to work on a joint project. In the end, the cool feature is the cloning mechanism. So if you have an experiment which is yours, or a public experiment from someone else, in one click, you can copy it, you can clone it into your own workspace, and it becomes yours. Right? And the platform keeps track that it was originally the experiment of that other user, and it's going to keep track also of all the ownership of all the other algorithms, so you know basically who did what, and you are able to contact the others. And then, by just clicking on this button, here, fork, you can just clone the experiment into your workplace. Okay, so it's an experiment which is here, done, It's showing you the results of your experiments and all the data, like all the hyperparameters which have been used for each of the preprocessing blocks, image preprocessing, for instance, feature extraction, and all those parameters. And it gives you also timing information. Now in the end, when you have an experiment, okay, you can either actually take a previous experiment and rerun it, or create completely from scratch a new experiment. And in the case you just have cloned a previous experiment, in one click, just by pressing the go button, this experiment is going to be executed again. You don't have to change anything. If you want to change something, you can change maybe a parameter like the number of components in a Gaussian mixture model or the number of dimensions in PCA, and it will just recomputate what needs to be computed. In the end, when you are satisfied, happy by an result from an experiment, you write a paper. You write a paper, and in this paper, you would like to show the reviewer that your results have been obtained with this platform. So what you can do is that from the experiment page, there is a button here called attestation. You can generate a temporary attestation, okay, that will be anonymized. This is a link, which is unique. You include it in your paper, then the reviewer will just be able to click on that link, go to the platform, and check that the results are the same. It will still remain anonymous, so he's not able to find out the author, but at least he has an additional level of information and an additional level of trust on your results, and then he can still may decide to accept or not to. But in the end, when the paper will be accepted, then you can unlock the attestation and make it public. So then, when the paper will be in press, it will be there with the link, which is unlocked, and then you, that will be reading the paper, will be able to go to the platform, following that link, and create an account and import this work in the same way as shown before, by cloning and rerunning. That's it. Without the inside code, without doing any programming, just in 2 clicks. So, the bit platform is open to the public now. So we are still in, this is still a beta version, that means we are chasing bugs. So we are welcoming people to try the platform, test it, and help us to report problems, give us ideas of what can be improved and so on. You can see the bit platform has a cloud computing basically platform to do easily online access to experimentation testing in biometrics, but also beyond. Because biometrics is nothing else than pattern recognition and machine learning algorithms, which are used altogether in specific data sets. But actually, there is nothing that stops you to do something else. As a matter of fact, we have already worked in the platform all the data sets which are not about biometrics. We have the MNIST data set, which is about digit handwriting. And then we can test algorithms to do digital recognition on this MNIST data set. So it has nothing to do with biometrics, but we can still do these kind of things as a platform. So it's not only about biometrics, but it is pattern recognition, machine learning in general. So with this platform, we are trying to push reproducible research to the next level. Remember that we have those 5 levels from 0 to 5, okay? And now we are trying to push it to a 6th level, level 6, which will be to reproduce results in 1 minute with just a web browser. No database is installed, download and install, no software manage and install, just using a web browser, so from any computer. So just to remember, so the big platform is accessible. You don't need to install it for software. It's intuitive. You can program the platform actually without any lines of code if you want to. And you can just connect graphically the blocks together to run experiments. It's social, so we will preview when the feature will be completely implemented to engage more people by to encourage people to share. By sharing, I mean helping the others or put it public their experiments and their algorithms. And by doing that, you will gain more processing power. Because it's fair that people that share more have more processing powers than others that keep everything secret. It's also predictive. There will be a tool for searching easily prior results according to any criteria. For instance, you want to search for all prior results obtained on the FRGC database with this particular class of algorithms, and you will just find it on platform all the experiments which are public and that have been launched by all the users of the platform. It also is built on strong privacy design, so it will help you to handle large-scale databases without having to handle large-scale databases. So it's handled for you, and potentially you can run on data that cannot be distributed. You don't have, you will never be able to access it. There is also an insurance, an attestation mechanism, and it's free. So what's come next? So next, so we're going to have a tutorial at the next BITAS conference in Washington in September. So we're going to have a tutorial on the platform. So this tutorial will be an in-depth presentation of the platform, but also it will be live. So basically, all the people attending the tutorial will be able to create an account, and we are going to teach you on how to use the platform, run experiments, push algorithms, and basically do everything with the platform so you can basically take benefit out of it. Right? So put it in your calendar. So in September, in BITAS, tutorial in the platform. If you are interested. What's coming next is that we are still in beta mode, so you can register and play with the platform. But the final release it will be only in January next year, and by that time we have some other features to implement. For instance, we want to implement a reputation system, basically to be able to put a like system on some users. We will be able to increase the reputation of your users that share more, for instance. And we have to gamify a little bit the platform, so to bring more engagement into it and to make it more attractive. Also, we are working on the killing feature, which is a paper generator. So basically, what we like to achieve is that from an experiment you are happy with, you can just press one button, and we generate LaTeX paper, which contains already the tables, the figures, which are preset, and the links and the references of all the algorithms involved in your experiment if you have reused algorithms from others, and which have provided the references. So this is, I think we believe this would be a really great feature that will save a lot of time for people. So if you can select basically generate this paper for ICB 2000.